I thought we could enjoy some Pow footage, but instead you get to watch Pow slowly tip her food bowl over on top of her. Thank you for all the kitty emojis, too. And welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Just going to turn the music down a scotch. Let me know if I turned it down too much. Well, welcome to our Monday night crafty chat. I actually just had to stop and check and make sure it was actually Monday. I was like, is it Monday? Is it Friday? I know it's crafty chat night, but what day is it? Bit too much? Well, the music stopped at the moment, so next song, please. There we go. All right. Well, we can keep playing with it. No worries, no worries. Well, everybody, welcome, welcome. We've got Pow up on the Critter Cam. We are working on some shop samples for the store today. So I hope you'll join me. So I might as well get started. There's a few different samples that I want to do today. I'm working on this. Oops. I'm going to be doing this Toy Bonnie sprite right here that you can see on the screen there. All right, Pow, you enjoy. I don't usually let Pow eat during stream, just because she's a bit of a menace. But I fed her kind of late today, and I didn't want to. I wanted to give her some more time to actually eat. Hello, Opie. Hello, Moon. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to our cozy Monday night crafty chat. I was just getting started. I've got my little pile of scrap pieces of Ada here. I have to figure out which one I want to use for Toy Bonnie. He's the blue fellow there. I was thinking of just doing it on one of these white pieces, but I don't know. The blue might look good too. This like light baby blue. This I'm saving for a different shop sample. This kind of watercolory boy. We're getting a little bit more Christmassy. And this is like an off-white. Could do it on black. Ooh, Space Ada. Toot says just white. Yeah. I think that might be good for the sprites anyway, so that they'll really pop. All right, so let's pull up my white here. I don't know if I can even get this odd shaped piece in the in my frame, but we'll try. Fuss about, please. Try to keep up with chat. Yeah, for samples, it might be best to keep it on simple Ada for sure. Yes, this is my tiny 6-inch frame. It's so small. It's so small. I don't use it for regular stitching because there's not much of a stitching area, but the things I'm working on today are going to be small, so we're going to use this little boy. So I use Q-snap frames, these guys. Let's see if I can. This is not the best use of this Ada, but I would rather waste a few inches of Ada than have to stitch in in hand because stitching in hand is the worst. So when I'm working on a Q-snap and you can see that this piece is going to fold over, I usually just fold it back on itself like this. And it actually helps keep the Q-snap a little bit more secure. You've never tried the small Q-snap? It's slightly too small to be 100% comfortable on my hands. Oh, stitching in hand? Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. Because you have to hold the fabric. You don't just have to hold it, you have to hold it tight. Just get a little bit of a shadow. I'm just trying to. Unfortunately, the shadow is the shadow of the camera. I got completely squirreled by that. Yeah, because you don't just have to hold the fabric, you have to hold the fabric tight while you're stitching it. So my hand cramps up really, really quickly. And it seems like, oh, I'm just doing a few stitches, it'll be fast. But it never is. It's always just so not worth it. Thank you for the squirrels there. Okay. All right, so I am so these shop samples, these are my own designs. They will be available in the Etsy store pretty much as soon as I finish the samples. I think I have the PDFs ready to go for these guys. I might just have to do a little bit of fiddling. Hello, Kasha. Welcome. Welcome. We've got YouTube joining us. We are live on both YouTube and Twitch at the moment. And I managed to get a knot in my very first stitch. How did I do that? Pure, unadulterated talent, my friends. Because I'm... That's going to get annoying. Beep. Because I'm just using scraps of fabric and scraps of thread, I'm going to be using a variety of methods. So for this, because this was already cut, I'm going to do a buried start. It's going to be a bit of a janky buried start. See if I can lift this camera a little bit. There we go. That's a bit better with the shadow and also with the zoom. And I'm always so stingy with my Aida. Like, I'll try and save an inch here, half an inch there. And really, if you're going to be super frustrated for hours because you cut the Aida too small, it's worth the extra few inches of Aida. Let's just put it that way. So be generous with yourself. More Aida is easier on yourself. More Aida, more linen, whatever you're stitching on. So while I'm working on these for the store, I hope you guys are settled in with a lovely project of your own. Some of you probably had the day off. Some of you might have been working, but however you spent your day, it's just time to chill, relax, listen to some good music, hydrate. Moon is working on her Indian takeout. That sounds delicious. I don't know exactly why I decided to start with the black. It's fairly centered on the design, so actually I'm now slightly worried that I'm going to run out of stitches for these ears. All right, let's see. I need 20 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure, feck it, we'll be fine. It's just a sample. If I have to redo it, I have to redo it. And because they're samples, I'm working off of my original charts in Stitch Fiddle. I'm not working off of Pattern Keeper or a PDF copy, so it's slightly harder for me to keep track of where I'm at. And I can't highlight what I've done. If I was working on a bigger piece, I probably would have tried to import it into Pattern Keeper, but since it's just a little guy. But you got my soul, welcome. I'm so glad to see you around. Cross stitch is magic. Cross stitch is wonderful. Cross stitch is my new hyper focus. I was talking to Toot about why it's my new hyper focus. And I mean, part of it is it's super satisfying. You're waiting to hear if you're needed at work tonight? All right. Well, I don't know if I should hope you're off or if I should hope you're working. I don't know which one you'd prefer, but whatever outcome you wish, I hope that is the one that you get. You'd much prefer not to be needed. That's fair. That's fair. My bestie is my brain keeps trying to say EMT. No, a PSW, which is what I was as well. And they were scheduled off this weekend for the long weekend. But they picked up 2 extra shifts because they really just love their job. So it's like, oh, okay, you could rest or you could not. Looks like a little tiny, slightly evil smiley face now. That's all the black that's in there. Well, then I hope that you can hang out with us for as long as you wish. I pulled out most of the colors I'm gonna need and just put them in this little dish so I wouldn't have to go diving. Rummaging. You don't want to sit and watch me rummage through all of our floss boxes every time I need a new color. Thank you for the hydrate, dude. Everyone hydrate with me, please. All right. I think the next color I'm gonna do is the blue, the 3760. I mean, the blue. There's 3 blues on him, but the one that's like the outline. And then at least we'll know if we're gonna run out of space for the ears or not. For some of my designs, it's just not practical for me to have a fully stitched sample for the shop when I publish it. Things like the happiest day, that project itself would take me months to do. And even for these guys, so this is part of my FNAF portrait series. So I am working my way through all of the Five Nights at Freddy's games and making these sprite portraits of every animatronic. Every I was gonna say every character, but I don't know if I don't know if I'm gonna do like Vanessa and Gregory when I get to Security Breach. So at the moment I'm saying every animatronic. So far I've done FNAF 1 and that pattern is published. I am going to make some edits to the published PDF though, because I'm not 100% happy with it. I'm happy with the art. I'm just not happy with the formatting of the finished PDF. Graphic design is my passion. And then this will be FNAF 2. So this is 10 animatronics from FNAF 2. And then these will be up soon. Was it the graphic design is my passion that got you, Moon? It's true though. I love me some graphic design. I make I'm not artistic. I can't draw very well. So the art, like the goblin down in the corner and my logo and my emotes, those were drawn by Mickey and Orchid from the community because I'm not a good artist, but all my other graphics are put together by me, like my stream backgrounds and overlays and things, because I really do enjoy graphic design. And I showed Moon a little sneak peek of this, but I'm thinking of bringing my famous analog craft log into a digital format for sale on the Etsy. So that could be happening at some point in the near future. Thank you, Moon. That meme is actually so well put together because it's so bad. It's like artistically bad. I feel like I need to do the rest of his eyes before I go much further because he's looking very creepy right now. Yeah, he really is making that face. Like, these are his eyebrows and these are his pupils. They just do not in any way look like that. So these FNAF sprites, similar to my Valorant sprites, they're based on the game, but they're not just pixel for pixel recreations of the game art. I actually did design these portraits in this size from the ground up. So I'm very pleased with that. And eventually I would like it to be so that they're all interchangeable. So if you wanted to do a series of Freddies, every Freddy from every game would be about the same size and about the same color palette. Every Bonnie is about the same size and about the same color palette. That kind of thing. I just love setting myself these huge design projects, I guess. So if you guys have joined me with a project, let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you're hydrating with. I have my emotional support diabepsis, of course. White Frost, Cherry Frost, Glacier Frost, Powerade, Gatorade, whatever. It's cherry energy drink. And I also have some Bolt House smoothie as well that I let sit out for a bit too long, so it's not as cold as I want it to be. So I put some ice cubes in it, but now it's like the ice cubes in the orange juice are giving it the wrong texture, so I need to wait for the ice cubes to melt before I can drink it. Toot is working on a new piece. Very exciting. And they have raspberry crystal ice. Yes. So if you are in the Discord, Toot shared earlier, and I'll see if I can share it on screen in a second. But Toot just finished a very cool, again, Five Nights at Freddy's piece. That is the Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex logo. It's done on black Ada, and it's all in glow-in-the-dark thread. It looks so cool, and it was such an undertaking because it was like 10,000 stitches or something like that. All the same color. And they're a monogamous stitcher, so like that was a lot of the same color. Without a break. And that pattern as well will be available on the Etsy at some point in the near future in 2 sizes. So the one that Toot did is 11.5 inches across, which is very large. I want to do another size. I haven't decided if I want to do 6 inches or 8 inches. I'm going to play around with both and see how much detail I can get in. I'd like to do the 6-inch size just because I feel like that's a little bit more reasonable for people to stitch quickly. I don't tend to go for big projects. At least I didn't. I think I do now. I think this is what I'm telling you is a straight up lie at this point. I didn't tend to go for large projects, but now I do. So I was always on Etsy. I'm always drawn to smaller makes. And a lot of designers kind of have a size that they like and they stick to. And unfortunately for the designers that I love, that size is about an 8-inch circle, which is quite large. Was quite large for me. So I purposefully designed smaller things. easier, more accessible. You can get right into it. I'm thinking of doing a series of tiny tarot cards that are just super duper teeny. I also found when I was tidying up my my Etsy whips folder on Stitch Fiddle, which is the design program I use, I found a series of inscription cards that I had started. So those might get a rework. Welcome back to your PC, Moon. Yes, tiny tarot cards. I was thinking just 10 stitches high, just enough for the number and then a little icon that would represent the card. Something super tiny. And yeah, if you've ever played the game Inscription, it's a deck builder. It's a really good game. It's really good. But on the surface, it's a deck builder. And I started designing a few of the cards from that. I have the squirrel card, of course, and I think the Mothman card. Done. Yes, squirrel. I was about to say, oh yeah, I have tons of room for the ear, and then I realized that I just hecked up, and the ear is now a stitch too short, but I still have tons of room for the ear. I just have to unpick a bunch of stitches. And usually if I was stitching this for myself, I'd say, heck it, and move on, but because this is a sample for the store, I want to make sure it's actually representative of what I'm selling. And especially at this scale, missing a stitch can throw off the proportions. So it's also the 1st of April, which means it's time for us to figure out what we're doing for Whip Go. I know I talked about Whip Go on Friday, I believe. Probably talked about it on Monday too, let's be real honest. But now I'm supposed to officially start my April Whip Goes. Which is good because so my April calls for Whip Go were the frog skeleton piece and the Kyrie and Sora piece. Which were also my calls for January. So my idea was I'll just double up and I'll do twice as many stitches in the month and push myself a little bit, and then I'll have January and I'll have February done. I kind of did the 1,500 stitches on Sora and Kyrie in the last few days. So, yeah. I finished my January block because my goal was only 1,500 stitches on each. So I think I might need to reevaluate my goals. But in order to do that, I need some data on how many stitches I'm doing on a daily basis. So I decided to start a stitch log, similar to what Moon keeps. I love her little log. It's so satisfying. But basically just writing down how many stitches I do each day. I know some people do that, and some people write down like how many stitches they do on each project. I'm just going to do a total number of stitches. So even for these little guys, I'm just going to figure out how many stitches there are. Yes, I had to frog. And doing the frog skelly. So I honestly might finish the frog skeleton this month. I'm having so much fun with it. I'll show you guys in a bit how much I've gotten done on that so far, which is quite a bit. But they're both just such different pieces. I went on this whole spiel a little while ago about how I didn't understand how people could have like 50 or 60 cross stitch whips, like, because the basic movement of cross stitch is the same, and the feel of the materials is the same. Like, so there isn't enough variation for my ADHD brain to recognize it as multiple sources of dopamine. I'm retracting that statement because the experience of stitching on the frog skeleton is so different than the experience of stitching on Sora and Kairi, which is so different than the experience of stitching on my full coverage piece, which is so different from the experience of stitching on these little minis. So I regret my previous statements regarding not understanding dozens of cross-stitch whips, and I'm very sorry to anyone who my statement impacted. So we all know that crafting is cyclical for neurospicy people anyways. And my first cross-stitch cycle was like 2013, and then the next one came around in 2018, and then now we're back again. But in 2018, the digital landscape for cross-stitch looked so much different. I mean, we didn't have Twitch and YouTube lives. Like, FlossTube wasn't a thing then. I do remember looking online for cross-stitch communities, and it was like the message boards on 123 Stitch, which hadn't been updated in infrastructure since the late 90s. And let me tell you, it's a whole new world now, which I think is one of the reasons that my love has been so thoroughly re-kickstarted, is joining that online community and just the vibes, man, the vibes. Because I don't know, like, a lot of this is going to be so niche that it may not be 100% clear if you're not in these specific niche communities. But so I've been active online in knitting communities since 2007, when Ravelry was first established. And, there are some years that were more off than on. But in general, now the climate in the online knitting world is leaning towards not very many whips, just a few whips at a time, like 2 or 3. And in finishing and working down stash and progressing on a set schedule. And I find that in the cross-stitching space, the emphasis is more on working on what you want to work on. Like, not what you want to have, as a finished item, but working on what you want to work on and enjoy the vibes and enjoy the ride. And that just resonates so much with me, because that's how I've always crafted, and that's why I always have like 412 whips on the go. I have, God, I've lost count. I think it's 17. I think it's 17. But yeah. And like, turnaround time for knitting projects is a few days to a few months at most for even the largest projects. And in the cross-stitching space, it's like, okay, so this is the project. I really love it. It should be done in about 4 years. It's like, you know what? I vibe with this. Like the Long Dog leap year sampler. It's a SAL, and your deadline is next leap year, which I find hilarious. Yeah, I know, and Toot could never vibe with that. It's just, it's not the way that they craft. It never has been cross stitch or crochet. Just that idea of knowing this is going to take a few years and being okay with that. That's it. I don't think I'm quite there yet for cross stitch anyways. I've got my 4 whips going on, and then I'm picking up these little things for the store in between. But I've got my 4 whips going on, and at the pace that I'm working on them, they're all definitely going to be done this year. So I'm like, oh, maybe I could like add a new start onto my whip go board. Just recalculate my blocks and add a new start, and throw in a new project to the mix. And then I get kind of like overwhelmed and intimidated by trying to pick which project that is. That I'm just like, no, I'm just going to finish these 4. I do not have new project brain right now, which is okay. And it's very rare for me. So riding that. Although honestly, if I was going to start a new project, it would be the dinosaur forest from Owl Forest Embroidery. I also kind of like the overall vibe of Floss Tube as well. They just tend to be a little bit less edited, a little bit less polished, a little bit less about showing off finishes and more about showing off, hey, look at this cool thing. Moon says, I don't think I could do year-long projects either. You will get there. My young Padawan, we shall teach you. Body doubling cleaning. Awesome. Well, I hope your body doubling cleaning is going well. I always say that my streams and stuff are good for body doubling. Did my music cut out? Can you guys hear the music okay? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. In my latest video, the last podcast, I talked about body doubling because I say that my streams and my videos are good for body doubling, but I had never really explained what that meant. So if you're curious, I do talk about it a little bit in the latest podcast, but basically body doubling is doing a task in the presence of another person, and the other person isn't doing the same task as you, and they aren't directly helping you with the task. They're just there. And I mean, this is not new advice. Like pumping music while cleaning or listening to an audiobook or a podcast while working out is a thing that people do. Moon, you missed a spot. I have no idea. I'm just messing with you. I'm more than happy to provide hydration reminders too if you're putting around listening and you need someone every like 15 minutes to be like, you should stretch. Like that, to just redeem to hydrate. So everybody hydrates. As soon as I finish the stitch. I trixied you, Moon. I'm living in your walls, Moon. Okay, after I finish these ears, I think I need to do something about his face because this is unsettling. How are you guys liking the new format, by the way, with being able to see a little bit more about what I'm working on down in the corner? That said, I think it's not white in the frame correctly, or maybe it is and I'm just not seeing it right. Oh well. Oh well. Toot likes it. That's good. I can also see what I like about this is I've got like the 3 blocks, right? And I can make any one of them the main block and just kind of bounce between them all. I like that. We can check in on POW. I can show you a little bit larger what I'm working on. Or you can see my lovely hands as I stitch. And on Monday, that other block that is currently holding my pattern will be showing off Spirit City, because full version releasing Monday. I'm so excited. We're still going to be crafting. But we're going to be crafting with Spirit City. And if you aren't familiar with this game, I have been hyping it up for ages. The demo's been out for a long time, and I've been using the demo. It's technically a game. It's on Steam. It's technically a creature collector, but it's more of like a lo-fi productivity tool. You can set timers. You can have lo-fi. You can have ambient music, ambient sounds. It's got a to-do list. It's got Pomodoro timers. It's got a work journal that it will have a work journal anyways. And basically, as you navigate this cozy lo-fi chill environment as you're doing your work in the background, the different parts of your environment that you're selecting are attracting little spirits that you then befriend. Like, for example, if you're sitting by the fire and you've got the crackling fireplace noises on, you might attract a hedgehog to be your friend, which is one of the spirits. So it's really cute, and it's super helpful for helping me get work done. Not even work, but just like I'll have it in the background, and I'll just be using it as a Pomodoro timer, like 45 minutes of cross stitching and watching Ancient Aliens. Okay, time to get up and do 15 minutes of cleaning, because that's how I roll. Okay, now it just looks like he's crying. Okay, let's finish this blue thread and then work on his eyes a bit. I mean, Pomodoro, it's really just a timer method. The guy who kind of popularized it, it's called Pomodoro because he's using a kitchen timer that is in the shape of a tomato. That's the only reason it's called the Pomodoro method, which is kind of adorable. But it's really just setting timers for yourself. And the trick is to figure out a time block that works for you. So like, Toot sets hour timers. Her rounds are an hour, and then she'll get up and do the thing. Whereas I need a shorter timer. I usually set mine for 40 minutes or 45 minutes. Because if I go the full hour, I'm so jittery. Like, waiting for the timer to go off, I might as well just get up and do something, but I can't get up and do something because the timer hasn't gone off yet. When ADHD and TISM collide. Moon says they lack the self-discipline to put down the things when the timer rings. Yeah, that's the only thing, is you have to be good about actually obeying the timer. Especially when there's no like consequence to disobeying the timer. And I mean, some people, they try and combat that by like setting their timer across the room, so they actually physically have to get up and go get it. I don't know how well that would work for me, or if I just ignore it. That's what Moon does with their alarm phone. Yep, that sounds good. And you just wake up with it in your bed most of the time. Oh no. I'm pretty good with alarms to get up and do stuff. But if it's an alarm to make me do something where I'm sitting, I'll just turn it off really quickly because I don't like alarms. I find them really jarring and uncomfortable. So I'll just turn them off without actually doing the thing, which I'm trying to be better about because one of the alarms I have set is to remind me to take my meds. 2 of the alarms I have set are to remind me to take my meds. Yeah, it's hard when you need an alarm, but also the alarm doesn't work. Yay, Moon's starting to work on Neon now. Awesome. So Neon is another pattern that I designed. It's a little sprite of Neon, the Valorant agent. Again, another big project that I took on is making sprites of all the Neon agents, of all the Valorant agents. Which again, the sprites don't exist as such. I am kind of designing them from the ground up, which is definitely a departure for me because, like I said, I'm not very artistic in that, like, art and drawing is not something I'm very skilled at. So doing these portraits and doing the Valorant agents has been definitely a departure for me in that sense because it's more artistic than anything I've done before. I feel like I'm really stretching myself with some of my latest designs. I've got a really cute one based on the Two Bad Bitches TikTok. And I'm quite proud of that one. Thank you, Moon. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna finish up his eyes, I think. Oh, before that, so another one of the new designs for the shop, this pattern is also going up soon, is this really cute one. So I just designed this, stitched it up in a couple of days, so it's not a very intensive project. It'll fit in a 5-inch hoop, which if I have a 5-inch hoop, that's how I'm going to frame this one. This is on the printed green space Ada. So the pattern is it's pretty simple. It's only 5 colors. And one of my favorite details of this pattern is the like vintage crock pot design of the flowers. And it continues onto the moons on either side with the moons in the crock pot forming the triple goddess symbol. I just really love it. I think it's really cute. So this pattern is going to be available in the shop very shortly as well. Moon says it's adorable. Thank you. So I've got some 166 here, which I stole from my Kyrie and Sora project because, but I'm actually going to run out of the 166 because I finished all of it that was in like the tree area, but there's a bunch of it in the grass area and I ran out. This is the last of it that I have. So, I sent an emergency email to my floss dealer to see if she could send me some more. But I do try to be really accurate with the colors especially for the FNAF stuff, because there's so much lore behind the animatronics, and like there's a whole thing about the number of toes that they have in each game is really important to like what part of the franchise they came from. Anyway, so I try to be as accurate as possible with the colors and certain aspects of the designs. Yes, my floss dealer, Heather. I talked about this in one of the podcasts, but like if you guys are in Canada, stitchwit.ca is the best source for cross-stitching supplies. The owner, Heather, is amazing. Great customer service. She carries everything under the sun. Toot just threw up the link to the site. Thank you very much, Toot. So yeah, if you need cross-stitch supplies in Canada, definitely check them out. Yeah, great prices too. The regular DMC is comparable to what you find at Michael's, and the specialty threads like the metallics and the glow in the dark and stuff is like half the price. She also does fabric and like cross-stitch fabric and kits and patterns and needles and hoops and everything under the sun. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. You're starting to see it now, right? We're starting to see it. It definitely is. Starting to look like a bunny. A toy bunny, one might say. And very carefully hanging on to this piece of 166 because it is precious. We have been going for about an hour, so if you guys want to take a minute, stretch. I know, Moon, you just sat down, so you're exempt. But everybody else, take a moment and stretch, unstrip your posture, stretch your fingers, stretch your toes even. The sample's a little bit all over the place. Like I really should do one color at a time, but Chaos, my friends, chaos. This is also stolen from another project. Because your projects either need all of the same floss or none of the same floss. And none of the floss that you have in stock. There is no in between. Did you guys want to have a peek at my my current projects? The Kyrie and Sora and the frog skeleton? I can pull those out for you if you'd like. Once I get this thread started. An emphatic yes from Moon. An equally emphatic frog from Toot there. I managed to get a knot on the very first stitch. I'm a genius. I was watching Ancient Aliens today, as one does. And they were talking about Leonardo da Vinci. And every single time they talked about his genius, all I could think of was Markiplier talking about his immense genius. I just could not take it seriously. Right? No conspiracy theory is complete without Da Vinci. About how he spent 2 years traveling with extraterrestrials. Or he's a time traveler. Or he painted UFOs in his religious paintings. Now, some of the ancient alien theories are quite interesting. And some of them are just like really dismissive of the intelligence of ancient peoples. Which I think is, in a lot of cases, based on white people thinking that non-white people can't be smart. You said Da Vinci, and Harry goes, Da Vinci who? You mean Da Vinci? Yeah, I know. It's hard for me to say Da Vinci without thinking Da Vinci. I was telling Toot earlier. Okay, so I got this thread started. Let's stab. Let me grab those other ones. And then I will tell you about Easter Island. Oh heck, I was muted. Hi. Hi, I muted my mic by accident. I'm back. Did you like that behind the scenes look at my camera and microphone there? But yeah, it's like the only explanation white people have is that the indigenous peoples. This is still completely crooked. Okay, that's better. Anyway, let me show you some whips, and then I'll talk about Easter Island because my brain isn't braining right now. So this is the Kyrie and Sora piece. It's probably looking a lot different from the last time you saw it. So Kyrie and Sora themselves are down here in the corner. And then this is just the tree that they're sitting under. You can see the pow fruits are there. And I've done a ton of filling in on the leaves because I was actually missing about half the colors for this project. And then our Stitch Wit order came in. So I finally was able to fill in some of the colors. I'm not able to, so the edge of the fabric is here. So I'm playing it a little bit tight. It comes out another maybe 3 stitches. But yeah, I want to get like this leaves completely done and then I'll work my way down the tree. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. It looks great. Yeah, I did about 700 stitches on this yesterday. I was just really in a groove with it. But yeah, I've done 1,500 stitches on just the leaves in the last week, the last half a week, the last 5 days. Not long enough. So that's Kyrie and Sora. The pattern is by Needle Minder's Lair on Etsy. And yeah, it's huge. It's big. The other one I'm working on a lot is the frog skeleton. The pattern is by Raven Stitchcraft, also on Etsy. I've got my little needle minder that I made there. But yeah, this is my child, my non-binary frog child. They're just a little guy. Just a little guy. So it's big blocks of color, right? He does look different than last time. Last time he was green. So it's just big blocks of color, and I was gonna do I'd just done like a little bit here and he was green. And then Toot had the brilliant idea to do him in this NB variegated thread from DMC. It's technically called Purple Pansy, but it's NB thread for sure. So all of what was going to be green is going to be the variegated, and then his bones are going to be glow in the dark. And then I did his like little tiny blush spots already, so that's all the pink. So I basically outlined everything. So this is completely outlined now. All I have to do is fill it in. His like ribs are... His ribs look a little confusing. So I think I'm going to start there to make sure I don't like fill in the wrong bits. And his arm is completely filled in with the variegated. It just needs his bones now. So I'm loving him. It's a lot of fun to do. I'm doing this with the variegated in English style, which is when you create the complete cross at once. Instead of like going across a row and coming back. So it's been like a different technique, and it's been a little bit more of a challenge trying to figure out the outline bit instead of what I usually do, which is just go row by row like a dot matrix printer. So he's been a lot of fun to work on, and yeah, he's going to get a little bit more love. I mean, honestly, I'll probably be able to finish him this month because now that I finished the outlining, and this is almost all of him. He's got another arm coming up here, and then his legs are quite short. So there isn't too much more to go once I move the frame. Yeah. Actually, I kept having to like force myself to put this one down and take a break because I was just having so much fun with it. So those are my two big whips. At the moment. I guess we're going back to Toy Bonnie here. Bones, yeah. Oh, and I completely forgot to tell you guys, I finished a project since our last stream. How could I forget my other child, my other son? Hello. This is the emotional support void chicken. He's too big to fit in frame. He's very soft. I didn't overstuff him because I wanted him to be squashy. He's perfect. He's got tail feathers. Thanks, Harry. Yes, it is a big turkey. He's got cool comb. He's got button eyes. Yeah. I love him. He's huge. Like, I knit him to the pattern size and he's gigantic. But I finished that this weekend. That was a lot of fun. And honestly, I might make another one. The pattern was really easy, really straightforward. The only difficulties I ran into were at the very end when you're kind of doing the sewing up and the shaping. But that's where I always fall flat with stuffed animals. It's just not a skill set I really have, is making things cute. No, I don't think I'd do another void chicken. I think I would do like a self-striping yarn chicken. I think that would be really cool because the shaping of the shape of the chicken is done with a lot of short rows. So in a gradient or a self-striping yarn, those short rows would look really interesting. Knots. That's nuts. Oh, thank you for the acronym of the day, Moon. Acronym of the day is a game that we play here. It's I take a well-known acronym and you guys have to come up with alternate definitions for it. Heaven above, even deadlier. Oh no. Heck, all emos, dinguses. I feel like that one is targeted. Because Toot may have walked in on me listening to the Black Parade while I was cleaning my closet earlier. Oh yeah, happy Dingus Day. Toot says, Dingus Day is historically a Polish-American tradition. It celebrates the end of the often restrictive observance of Lent and the joy of Easter. I feel like there's traditional food for Dingus Day, but I could be wrong. Why is this thread doing nothing but nodding? I blame Toot for this thread nodding up because it's so long. Toot says Dingus Day is celebrated in like an inch of the US, but they happen to grow up in that single inch. I just stabbed myself in the knuckle with my needle, and I did a little swore. A mind swore, as Toot calls it. A little swore in my mind. Oh no. Maybe we're sharing a brain cell and that's why I stabbed myself. Moon stabbed herself 2 seconds before. Thank you for the hydrate, Toot. Oh god, why is it nodding? Gonna hydrate real quick. So yeah, all I've been watching lately has been Ancient Aliens and Floss Tube, pretty much. Oh right, I was going to tell you guys about Easter Island. So Easter Island is home of the Moai, which are the large stone heads. You've probably seen them before. They're large stone heads with exaggerated features, and they are found on a small island called Easter Island. Thank you for the squirrel moon. And they were carved in ancient times by the indigenous people. They are gigantic. Yeah, the Dum Dum in Night at the Museum. Yeah. They're gigantic, and they were carved many, many miles away from their final resting place, which is on top of these platforms of stone. So, of course, the question that everyone asks is, how did they get there? The old answer, the old, like, commonly accepted answer is that they were rolled into place using wooden rollers. However, there are very, very few trees on Easter Island, so there isn't enough wood for rollers. So, of course, aliens has been suggested as the other most likely. Okay, you know what? We're rolling with it. That's fine now. That's what it's like. So of course, aliens is the other reason. Because when asked about how the Moai got into place, the indigenous people of the island said they walked there. So, of course, white ethnographers were like, it's a legend that these stones levitated and walked into position. Because that's all that they would say. They walked there. And then an indigenous anthropologist, archaeologist, some kind of, might have been an engineer. Anyways, he figured out that if you had a team of people and you wrapped ropes around the Moai, have you ever had to move like a bookshelf or something? And you kind of like rock it onto its side and pivot it a little bit forward, and then rock it onto the other side and pivot it forward, and then rock it onto the other side and pivot it forward. Now imagine you had like 20 people, a bunch of strong ropes, and a giant statue of a Moai. And that's how they got them down to the beach. They walked them. And this indigenous ethnographer was really clear in his paper that, like, we're not dumb. But I thought that was really cool. Similarly, a lot of people wonder, like, how the Egyptians moved the giant blocks of sandstone for the pyramids. Now, there are many drawings of the construction of the pyramids in the hieroglyphic record, and most of them show like a team of people pulling the block, and then on top of the block, there is someone pouring water. And it was assumed that this was a ceremonial rite, that it was like some kind of blessing, like pouring water or oil or something to sanctify the process. And this was thought for years and years and years and years and years. And then very recently, a team announced that if you have a giant block of sandstone and you put it on sand and then you pour water in front of it, it slides over the sand real easy. So the answer was literally written on the wall in front of them as to how they move these blocks so easily. And everyone was like, no, religious significance. I have no idea why no one thought to try it. Just two besties. Yeah. Two besties with nothing else to do and a bunch of granite blocks in the desert. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Toot says, no, they mean like when they find two women or two men buried together, they're like, they must have been really close friends. Yeah, huh? Just two besties embracing forever in the afterlife. The best of bros. There's one couple in specific that I'm thinking of in this example that was found in the remains of Pompeii. And it's two men who died in the street holding each other. They were just friends, clearly. And like that I almost get, because if you're about to die, I would also hug my best friend if they happen to be right next to me. But still, that's the only explanation. A couple of besties. Although one of the experts that they talk to on in Ancient Aliens is quite interesting. He's an engineer by trade, not like a cryptozoologist or anything, but like an actual engineer. And he went to Egypt, and he basically like spent a long time figuring out what kind of machines the Egyptians would have had to have in order to build the pyramids. And not like they had to have anti-gravity technology, but like these giant wells in the ground that people thought were for this, they might have actually been for the troughs for giant diamond saws, which they could have built because of this. And it was really interesting because it was a lot more fact-based, probable. This piece is gone completely off the rails. Anyways, so all of that to say, I love Ancient Aliens. And I am on season 4 now. I just watched the episode Aliens and Bigfoot. And Aliens and the Founding Fathers. It's oh, it's good. And by good, I mean it's terrible and hilariously bad, but it's so good. Because, like... Oh. Moon says they love hearing me talk about it. Thank you. Because it is interesting, because you are learning actual historical facts. Like, some of the stuff, like the places that... The places that they talk about are real places. And the artifacts that they talk about are real artifacts. And the legends that they talk about are real legends. So you are learning stuff. It's just the conclusions that they draw are, like, wildly improbable. There was an entire episode about the reptilians. That one was hard to keep a straight face through. Yes, the snozberries do taste like snozberries too. Thank you. I really thought I would have flown through Toy Bonnie by now. I didn't think this was going to take us all stream. Oh well. But he's looking good. I love him. I love him. So all of the FNAF portraits are going to be available. Yeah, small projects are deceptively long to do. So all of the FNAF portraits are going to be available on the Etsy store. Right now, FNAF 1 is out. FNAF 2 is coming out soon. I have a if you want to check out the Etsy store, to just throw up a link to my link tree. You can check out all my links through that. But definitely go check that out. Oh, excuse me. The many more patterns coming to the Etsy store. There's going to be my Riot buddies, which are like little scissor fobs, including a tutorial on how to assemble the scissor fobs. So, and then I'm working on a needle book, and then I'm working on several needle books designs, but the needle books will also come with a video tutorial, as well as a PDF like written pattern tutorial on how to put them together. So those are coming. I've got more Valorant agents coming. I've got more FNAF coming. The Crockpot pieces coming. Too Bad Bitches. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. I am looking at doing a digital version of my craft log for y'all. And Notion templates might be coming as well. So if you are a Notion newbie, or if you would like to use Notion for organizing your crafting stuff, I'm going to be working on selling some templates to get you started with that. Yes, needlebook. Why don't let's play with my new feature here. Okay, so we're going up here. So this was, let me just see if I can zoom out a little bit. So this was the other pattern I was going to do today. Hi, Karen. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. I was just showing off. I'm working on some samples for the Etsy store. So I'm working on Toy Bonnie right now. The other one I was going to do is this Fedi one here. And then the needlebook one. Let's see if I can. So this needle book is for me, but I am going to be doing a version of it that instead of DH, it says cross stitch. And each of these sections is going to be a different color, so it's easier to read, but it says needles. Needles for DH. Needles specifically chosen by DH. DH's needles. I thought it was funny. Thank you so much for the hydrate, Soul. So this is the needle book I'm going to be working on for myself. And then I'm going to use it as the sample for the tutorial. And then all of my future needle books will, you'll be able to watch the tutorial on how to put them together. They'll all be constructed the same way, pretty much. Toot is working on for the energy part of her piece, and all your brain will focus on is Dr. Scott going, for the thrills! That's amazing. Let me switch back. This particular floss and I are just fighting tonight. Well, Karen, I'm glad you could join us. If you're working on any project, please let us know what you're working on. If you're not, that's totally okay too. And of course, remember to hydrate. I will be including in all of my tutorials that they are not tutorials on how to sew. They are videos of how I sew, which is not well. Both the scissor buddies and the needle books require only very basic sewing skills. And they are both stitched along the lines of the Ada or the back stitch. So even if you yourself are not a sewist, you'll be able to follow them and still have a neat looking product. Tasha says my mother is the sewer. Yeah. Yeah. Sewing and art are two things that I'm just not good at. Like, I've tried. Especially sewing. I've taken like classes on sewing. Multiple classes on sewing. Can I sew? No. Thank God I don't show the backs of my pieces in my sample stitching. He's looking so good. I'm so happy. Like, sometimes you design something and it looks good on the screen or the page, but then you get to see it come to life and it looks good. Moon is currently working on one of my designs as well, the Neon Valorant sprite, and I'm so excited to see it come together. Because that's another one that's like, it's small scale. And when I'm working on small scale things, I'm looking at it really zoomed in, right? So I notice every single little pixel that's off. I notice if a stitch is like one too high or one too low. And I obsess over each individual pixel, each individual stitch. But then when you stand back and look at the whole thing, it looks amazing. And yes, Toot did just finish one of my designs as well. Actually, let me see if I can pull up that picture. Yep, there we go. All right, so yeah, this is the piece that Toot just finished. And it is actually massive. You can't really tell the scale from this picture, but it is 11.5 inches across. It's all done in glow-in-the-dark thread. And it's all one color, which is a labor of love, let me tell you, for sure. And it looks amazing. Like, she's been working on it for so long, and just seeing it come together, it's so cool. So this design is going to be available in the store as well in 2 sizes. This 11.5 inch size, as well as a smaller 6 or 8 inch size. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, so I just think it just looks really super neat. And like, so impressive. Like, look at that. That is just so impressive. Sorry. I can't get over, like, Toot's dedication to the cause is just incredible. Oh, okay. Sorry. I perceived Toot for too long by saying nice things. So now I am banished. I'm not quite sure. So I think it took... Well, I'll let Toot answer how long it took. But I think a couple of months. I feel like it's been months. Six weeks. Yeah, that is a long time, especially for you. Toot is speedy, as well as having a lot of crafting time. So 6 weeks on any given project is a long time. And it turned out so good. So I think they picked a few smaller / easier projects up next. Soul says, "Oh wow, that is quite fast, but also 6 weeks on one color would drive you batty." It kind of did a little bit. I think at some point she lost the will to craft. And Toot also says, the piece that they're working on now is small, but the next one is big. Oh dear. Is it the Rainbow Garden that's up next? I can't remember. I kitted it up for you. I still can't remember. Also, Stardew happened, yes. There's that. Oh, Moth and Lily is a wild bluebell pattern. That's gonna be a big one. But so gorgeous. And Soul says Stardew is dangerous. You are not allowed to play until after you move. Yeah, I get that. I 100% understand that, and that's probably wise. To put in 74 hours since the update on the 19th. Reached perfection today. And so is back on that Phasmo grind, I think, starting tomorrow. Got a prestige again. Oops. Sorry, I just totally zoned out. I was like, this is looking so good. I'm so pleased with this. I'm just stitching away. I entertained myself. Yeah, I was in my crafting happy place. Like that's one of the things that I love about cross stitch is it is kind of easy to zone out, but still be kind of present. I don't know. It's Toot and I liken it to when you're playing Minecraft and you're just mining in a straight line. It's like it's progress, but also you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, so you don't have to like think or adjust. I feel like once I start filling in the blanks on my frog skeleton, it's just going to be like pure crafting zone. Which is kind of why I did it the way I did it, instead of having to look at the pattern all of the time. I will just have to check the pattern to tick off what I've done. I just noticed a mistake on the pattern. There we go. That's even now. Okay. I'll just stitch over that. I was thinking it was looking lopsided. He's looking very Bonnie-like now. Just needs those red cheeks, little guitar, some murderous intent. If you're not familiar, this is a character from the horror video game Five Nights at Freddy's. So it looks cute and plasticky. It is not. It is not. Right, and then so that's all of the electric blue in the face, I believe. Yeah. So up to the ears next. Well, this has been a lovely way to start off my week, at least. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. If you've got any big plans for the week ahead, if you have today off, you have a short week, that'll be nice. And then tomorrow is your Monday, I guess. I'm actually leaving the house tomorrow. We have a medical appointment we have to go to. Moon says they enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Moon. No plans this week, but busy Saturday. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, probably most people probably had family plans this weekend or some kind of plans that need a little bit of recovery. Yes, Toot knows some plans. Our friend Moon is a fellow Twitch streamer. They play mainly competitive games, FPS games, like Valorant. Actually, just mainly Valorant. But also mixing in some cozy fun. Like yesterday, they were playing Stardew. So that was fun. We stayed up for all of that stream. And then I think Thursday is going to be Lethal Company. So yeah, go check out Moon. She manages to make these competitive games very cozy, very welcoming, very wholesome. And it's a good time. Watching a Valorant stream with Moon is definitely one of the highlights of my week, and I get a lot of crafting done during that time. It's just chill, cozy vibes. And also getting to laugh at Moon when she gets jump scared. Or when she gets unexpectedly shot in-game. And Moon is also pushing a sub goal right now. So if you go over and check her out and sub, there is a possibility that she's going to be doing her own cross-stitch stream. So I'm trying to push those. All right. So that's as far as we got on Toy Bonnie. So I'm going to do some stitching off stream and get Fedi done and work on this needle book for myself. And hopefully I will be announcing the release of those patterns. The best way to get all of the announcements is through the Discord. I do announce most things through the Instagram as well, but the Discord is where you'll get all the information first. You can hang out with me, you can hang out with Toot, you can hang out with all of us. You can get some lovely pet pictures. If you're working on a project, need help with it, or just want to show it off, that is definitely the place to go. Toot is currently throwing up all kinds of links, so you can check those out. If you want to check out, I am on Twitch, I am on TikTok, I am on YouTube, I'm on Etsy, I'm on Ko-fi, I am on Instagram. I am on so many places. But you can check me out and follow me everywhere you go. If you are enjoying the streams, I am so enjoying having you with me and just being here for you. There are lots of ways to support the stream, but as always, the best way to support the stream is just by being here, by liking, by following, by subscribing, and by letting your friends know about this awesome little community that we're building. So yeah. Thank you everyone for coming and joining us tonight. Even if you weren't chatting, even if you're just lurking, we love our lurkers. Like I said, it's good body doubling time. You can get something done on your own while you have me on in the background. So this was a great way to start off my week. We will see you on Friday for another cozy crafting stream. There is no new video on Wednesday. Sorry, Toot. I gave myself a week off, but I didn't let her know. So there won't be a new video on Wednesday, but we'll be back next Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday with the next cozy cast. I know I did you a fib. I'm sorry. I have videos lined up. I promise. I just gave myself a week off from editing. I'm sorry. Highly illegal. But yes, thank you everyone for coming by, and I'm so glad to see all of you. So that's gonna be it for YouTube. So everybody on Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube. Everybody on YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch. Goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye. YouTube, I love you. I will see you on Twitch. I will see you in the Discord. I'll see you on Instagram. And as always, I will see you in my heart. All right. Bye. Bye, guys. All right. So, Twitch, my friends.